Alright, we returned to Timeless today to take a look at what I'm calling the Cat Sack deck. This is a variant of the red-white energy deck, which has just a very strong cast of primarily white and red cards that involve the energy mechanic in some way. Those decks initially started out in Boros and then moved to the Mardu wedge, where they picked up things like Chthonian Nightmare, which is a very, very good way of giving that deck some recursion. And now we're going to see how that deck functions without red. We're removing Goblin Bombardment today and going purely off of Chthonian Nightmare. But also, because Bloomburrow has just recently come out, we also have access to Lunar Convocation, a card that is seeing a lot of play in Standard with a Bat Tribal deck. But today we are using it just as a little bit of an extra way to make some tokens here in Timeless. And we're going to see if that ends up being a relevant way to go wide and win the game. So Lunar Convocation, at the beginning of your end step, if you gained life, each opponent loses 1 life. There's a lot of ways to gain life. We have Guide of Souls here, which is pretty much the only one, other than our Cauldron Familiars, which we combine with Witch's Oven to do degenerate things. So, 2.5 ways of getting a lot of life drain. I guess Aluris also counts. And then for Lunar Convocation, also it says at the beginning of your end step, if you gained and lost life this turn, you get to create a 1/1 bat. This thing can help with the life loss. You can pay 2 mana into it and pay 2 life to draw a card, which is nice. Sometimes we will actually want to do that. But for the most part, we were going to be gaining life through the Guide of Souls or Cauldron Familiar, and we can provide the loss of life in a variety of different ways. We have Marsh Flats to find Godless Shrine. We have Caves of Koilos that can deal damage to us, and we have Silent Clearings that cost mana or cost life for mana. So it should be pretty easy to get Lunar Convocation moving turn after turn, assuming that we can land one of these creatures. With a Cauldron Familiar and Witch's Oven on the battlefield, I'm kind of trying to see if Lunar Convocation can be a way to really just bury our opponent in value. Other than this, you'll take a look at this deck and see that a lot of the main thing... Oh, sorry, I actually totally forgot Ocelot Pride is in here as well. We are going to go through the staples from that red-white deck, which do include Ocelot Pride. This is another lifelinker. Guide of Souls, Jolted Awake as ways to bring things back. Static Prison helps us in Omniscience matchups and just generally for removing things. And Ajani Nakatl Pariah rounds out the last little bit of cards that we typically see in these decks. I guess Bowmaster sort of counts, but that's just a general staple of Timeless. So yeah, with actually 12 instead of 8 ways to gain life, it's looking pretty likely that we can start to use Lunar Convocation more as an engine rather than just another card in the deck. And hopefully we'll get some games in that showcase that today. Not really much more to say. This is pretty much a variant of the Cat Energy deck, and it should be a good time today. Luckily, Cauldron Familiar does happen to be a cat, so if we need to sack it to Witch's Oven to trigger our Ajani, that is a good thing as well. Ajani's +2 here, also going to be pretty relevant here, since there's in no way that we're going to be able to control a red permanent today. So that being said, this is Bloomburrow Cat Sack in Timeless, hoping that we have some good games today. Make sure to like and comment on the video to help with the algorithm, and subscribe if you're new for videos every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and I will see you guys in the first round. Alrighty, here we go. So this is going to be round 1. We have our Lunar Convocation. We do have 1 mana here, and that is going to be enough to set up Guide of Souls into Ocelot Pride, which honestly is enough to get us a good start. Opponent is going first here, so we'll see what this ends up meaning for us. It's just going to be Marsh Flats here, finding a Godless Shrine so that we can cast more of our cards. We will shock this one in and play a Guide of Souls. Does not get sent back to hand just yet, so we are looking okay. Let's see what happens next. We do need to watch out for a Harbinger on turn 3, which will turn everything into islands. We are just going to pray that that doesn't happen here. I suppose that Ajani could be a good play here. We can also just go Cauldron Familiar into Ocelot Pride, checking for priority here. Alright. And we will attempt to get them to commit to the board. I will attack for 1. Will they put something onto the battlefield? They will not. And then we will attempt an Ocelot Pride here. That's probably a good counterspell for them. Looks like they will end up taking it here. Their patience is rewarded. It'll be just a mana drain, though. They'll have 3 mana here. I just really hope that it's not a Harbinger of the Seas. That would be probably the worst card to see on turn 3. And what'll it be? So Sulfuric Springs and let the mana drain. Okay, so we have 2 attacks. We will attempt to go in. They will flash in a Snapcaster Mage to take out my Guide of Souls, sure. It'll actually just be mana drain here. Yeah, sure. Guide of Souls, whatever. Kind of annoying, but it is what it is. Shadowy Backstreet Surveil 1 here. Witch's Oven is pretty beautiful, so we will keep that. And then I suppose I can just drop in a Johnny here. That's probably one of the better plays that I can make. Alright, so next turn we get to go Lunar Convocation, Witch's Oven. We won't have a way to lose life, but our Cauldron Familiar will be able to gain us life. So we just need to figure out a way to take a damage, honestly. And then, of course, we'll have to worry about our opponent's counter magic here. Flooded Strand, fetching for something. Looks like no... Okay, they do play white. We will need to watch out for board wipes eventually. And it's an Ocelot Pride from them. That is sure interesting. Well, let's attempt to Lunar Convocation. See if that's allowed to resolve. Then if it is, I go for Witch's Oven on the end step. Or towards the end here. I could also think about static prisoning the Ocelot Pride, which is kind of relevant. Looks like they might respond here. Maybe Flare of Denial, hard cast, sure. So I think I could consider Witch's Ovening, but I might just static prison clear the way. That gives them 10 life here. And they will struggle to put a creature on the board, at which point I can drop Lunar Convocation and Witch's Oven. I like it. Alright, so we'll take that out. Swing in. And hopefully they don't have anything to put in front of my creatures. Would suck if this is Supreme Verdict. There has been a lot of control elements here. Gonna be Skyclave Apparition here, possibly taking my Static Prison. It'll be a Johnny. So we're punished for not doing Lunar Convocation. We will pay here. Now we have Caves of Koilos, which is nice, so we will take a damage here. And we will then also play the Witch's Oven. We do need to actually get in with the Cauldron Familiar here, so we will attack all in. See if they'd like to block. They should want to block. And we will sack the Cauldron Familiar in response. And prior to our end step, we will bring it back, but I'll just do it now. Alright. Opponent goes to 6. And Lunar Convocation will trigger. We make a creature, they go to 5. Very Time Raveler is annoying. They can bounce something. They can take back the Static Prison. I think the -3 on Teferi feels pretty bad. I do like the alt art here. That is nice. We do have a flyer. They do now have an Ocelot Pride. That's not great, but we can block effectively with the Cauldron Familiar. Definitely just taking the damage here. Right, and double Witch's Oven is beautiful. We will take action here. Go for another Witch's Oven. We will pay 3 into Luris as well. Let's go ahead and attack down to Fairy. Make sure that that's not a thing that they can deal with. And then we will try to keep them scared about this. But honestly, they know that they don't need to do anything about this. So we'll let them go to the blocks. They should be putting that in front. Yep. Just always making a test for them. We sacrifice this. Make a food. Do the same thing. Continue to make these flyers. Let's go. Cauldron Familiar comes back. We will need this to be able to block the Ocelot Pride next turn. They go to 4. We move to end step. Well, actually, I'm going to buy this Luris, but other than that, we're ready to go. Alright, put Luris into hand. End turn. And did I forget to lose life? I think I did. Little mistake there, but we will be able to gain it back with Cauldron Familiar. They're down to 2 effectively at 1 here. If they shock, they're dead. I assume we'll get a Surveil land here. Yep. And they have to rip something that can wipe the board, but honestly I can just sack my Cauldron Familiar in response and things will be okay. What was the draw here? Lorraine Revealed, not a bad one, but Meticulous Archive is only 1 mana here for these 3 cards. Blooded Strand, sure. We stop after blockers. Declare blocks. When I get priority, we Witch's Oven, sack Cauldron Familiar. And we will wait to bring it back to the battlefield until I am able to have Witch's Ovens open. Alright, move to my turn. Well, for good measure, here's another Cauldron Familiar. We will pay into this. We will go Cauldron Familiar. And then we will bring back the other Cauldron Familiar as well. They do have Mana Tithe. We will auto-pay for that. And what is the final card in hand? Not another Mana Tithe. We get 1 Cauldron Familiar in, 2 Cauldron Familiars in. And that will be the game. So we're going to take round 1 here with Lunar Convocation on the battlefield. That is a pretty good first round. Let's hop into round 2. Alright, here we go. Round 2. Witch's Oven, Lunar Convocation, all things that are pretty nice. Static Prison. We don't really have a very effective turn 1 play. I guess the Witch's Oven's nice. I'll keep it. We can start with the Caves. There's a Witch's Oven. Bowmasters is now my turn to play, most likely. Possible Thoughtseize. It will be Thoughtseize. See if they take the Bowmasters or Lunar Convocation. Alright, so it looks like we're just going to drop a Lunar Convocation this turn. There is potential for Grief here, which I see priority being held, so possibly that's the move. Honestly, Cauldron Familiar is not bad. Thoughtseize discarding it is always a possibility. They can be playing Surgical as well. I will continue to think about how that might be the case here. We are going to go Marsh Flats, and I think I'm just shocking here. It is a little expensive as far as the life is concerned. We will move to our instead. So all we need to do is find a way to gain some life here, which we are likely to do through the Cauldron Familiar, and then Lunar Convocation is just on. Alright, so another Caves of Koilos here. We will pay black mana through Caves of Koilos to gain with Cauldron Familiar, assuming this resolves. And then we'll just move to our end step. We can also leverage Lunar Convocation if we'd like to. Opponent's holding something up, possibly a kill spell for the Cauldron Familiar. We'll go ahead and move to end step. Alright. We have a 1/1. Alright, so this can be done every turn now. Static Prison taking out something can be paid with the Caves of Koilos mana. We can also just make mana and hurt ourselves if we'd really like to. This is going to be Orcish Bowmasters. Let's see what they decide to hit. Cauldron Familiar is not the answer, decidedly. Yep, makes sense. I suppose we just let that die. I guess I could have... Oh, you know what? That's that is a much better Witch's Oven target. Oh well, it is what it is. Now at least I can keep the Cauldron Familiar from being exiled, if that actually does matter. We will see. And then possibly I would have wanted to activate Lunar Convocation earlier. Who knows? We will do the standard block dealio with Cauldron Familiar. Block. Sack. Bring back on my next turn because I'm not attacking into the Bowmasters. I've lost my cursor. Where is it? There it is. We will make our food, and I think I'll just eat it. No, I probably won't. I don't have another creature to work with here. Yeah, we'll just bring the cat back on our turn. So we'd like to get something good here in terms of value. Our opponent can only kill so many of our creatures with Orcish Bowmasters, so it's fine. Move to my turn here. Ocelot Pride is beautiful. We will pay for that with Pain. That is an Ocelot Pride. Here is a Cauldron Familiar. And we cannot draw with Lunar Convocation, otherwise our stuff's going to die. It's Fatal Push here on Ocelot Pride. I think that I'm happy to just, like, make a food here. Could be worse. Alright, Cauldron Familiar, drains. Now I believe that Lunar Convocation is on. This is not one of the cards that Magic Arena will track for us, unfortunately, but I do know that I paid that white mana for the Ocelot Pride. Cool. Gives a Koilos. Let's put a Lurrus into our hand, and then we threaten this next turn, bringing back the Ocelot Pride, which is great. We'll make another black bat, and if we can coordinate Ocelot Pride hurting us a little bit coming in, then we will likely have a bunch of creatures being created under our control this turn. Ocelot Pride also notably works with all of the offspring mechanics, which is kind of cool. That's not something that I've thought to mess around with very much, but there is the bat that could make use of that. Thought about playing it in this deck, but ultimately it's a little too expensive to play with the offspring effect. So that's Lurstead. They've effectively dealt with what would have been a pretty solid turn for us. For some reason, the Grief is highlighted. That's interesting. What'll it be after this? They might be surgicaling me. Or reanimating, I don't really know. Okay. Not really sure what that was, but opponent is through it now. We are not blocking with the Cauldron Familiar, I don't think. I'm happy to eat with the Bowmasters, though. That's a good trade. Happy to take one here. Yeah, great trade for me. Totally happy to get rid of a flying 1/1 for that. What'll it be now? They're stuck on 2 lands. This is going to be reanimate on Lurrus. They cannot bring back Bowmasters yet, though, which is great. I believe I would like to Static Prison my Lurrus. Yes, this is great. So Static Prison. Boom. We get to attack with the cat. We have still not gained life this turn. We will drop into Johnny. Auto pay. Paying our life. We make our cat. And then we need to activate Witch's Oven now, flipping our Johnny. Unless... Okay, they're actually going to do this, so we will respond to this by sacking the Cauldron Familiar, which happens to be a cat. Thank you, Magic. So we will flip. That will avoid the march. Beautiful. That resolves. We make our cat. We'll bring back this cat. And opponent is going to let us have it after that misplay. Pretty sweet. Yeah, definitely everyone remembers the play patterns from red-white energy, where you have to just kill the cat that Ajani brings in. Or sorry, excuse me. You have to kill the Ajani before his created cat comes in. However, Cauldron Familiar, you could definitely see from the art that this is in fact a cat. So good round 2 here. Brings us to 2-0. Let's hop into round 3 and go for another. Okay, here we go. Round 3. That's a triple Witch's Oven, if you're looking at the same screen that I am. I do like Goddess Souls into a Johnny, and then just holding up a Witch's Oven seems kind of nuts. Sure. Could also go Witch's Oven into God of Souls, Witch's Oven into a Johnny Witch's Oven. I think I'll do that. I'd like to not have my God of Souls get eaten. if I can help it. Conduit Pylons, Surveil 1 on ETB, sure. And now I'm definitely trying to have both Witch's Oven and Guide of Souls in. Beautiful. Now Bowmasters and a Johnny are great targets here. We'll pass. And if we can find a cat, we absolutely start running away with this thing. Conduit Pylons number 2. They do need to fix colors for whatever reason. Ah, I see. We are colorless ramp, sure. Well, that basically means that we need to go as fast as possible here, so that is going to involve me going... So if I go to Johnny and immediately sack, that basically gives me a 3-2, which is pretty decent, and they're not going to be able to do much about it. We continue to make cats, continue to pump the board, and then it's probably GG from there. Like this. Alright, Guide of Souls, that is 2 out of 3 energy. We pass here, and oh, we'll actually not be able to +2 Johnny immediately. Shivan Reef here, it that heralds the end, you got it. And will there be another spell? It will be another it that heralds the end, sure. Let's make a Johnny into a Planeswalker. Alright. My turn. Godless Shrine. We're paying the life for this one, going Bowmasters. This will go to face. And we'll go Witches Oven number 3. Johnny will make a cat. Sadly, no red permanents. And we do have a good board now. We can block the It That Heralds the Ends. They just need 5 mana, which they could have next turn, and they'll be able to cast something with 7. Hope they can't do it. So we'll attack with Guide of Souls, put some counters on it. Make it bigger. We got to get this race going if we want to do anything. We have a very good 1/1 blocker here that is happy to die for the Ajani cause. They likely can revert to drawing cards later once they run out of gas, so Bowmasters is one that we want to keep around. If they just go for face, it's also not the end of the world. So Exile Creature, sure, we'll just sack it, make sure that it actually sits in our graveyard here. They still do get their 2/3 army, which is kind of brutal. And I assume they double attack into a Johnny. That makes sense. I am down to take a trade here. I think this is just actually nice. If we lose a Johnny, that's not the end of the world either. I'm here to keep my own life alive. Move to my turn here. And Jolted Awake here does get me back 1 Bowmasters, and then second Bowmasters could take him out, except Bowmasters was exiled, that's right. Or was it? No, it's this one. This is the one that's on the battlefield. So I can Bowmasters, sack Bowmasters, and then create Bowmasters again. That's kind of nice. Let's do that. We target the It That Heralds the End. We will then Witch's Oven, sacking the Bowmasters. Too bad none of this could be done with that other card on the battlefield, but it is what it is. We're also going to sack the Token Army since we're going to be making another one of those. And then, well, this was sequenced poorly. Jolted Awake here. Let's bring back our Orcish Bowmasters, taking their It That Heralds the End. Boom. Bang. Okay, cool. So now, if I had done this pre-combat, we would have been able to attack into the 0/1s, but made a mistake. So now we have 2 energy, 3 mana, 10 life saved up in these tokens, which is great. Yeah, sure, I'm down to keep that in my hand. We will probably need to start getting through these food tokens before Ugin's Binding goes off, because that's really going to be a sad thing. Okay. I will move to my turn. Static Prison could take out the Mind Stone. I'm also pretty happy to have a Luris out. I'm also pretty happy to have an Orcish Bowmasters out. So if we think that the Ugin's Binding comes down at some point, we can Bowmasters, play Static Prison, just pay for it until they bring it back to hand. that really punishes them if they do it next turn. I think really the play is to just Bowmasters here. Take out one of the 0-1s. They, I guess, technically could have made me whiff there. We'll attack in. See what they'd like to do. And we're just looking for some card advantage here. We're eventually going to have to tangle with some high CMC spells, and that's going to be a bad deal for us. Alright. So hopefully nothing big comes out right now. Them Ugin's binding me would be sad. We will be allowed to continue here. Voice of the Blessed now is going to be a really nice one for me. However, when the Ugin's binding me, I'm going to be really sad. We'll start with that now. And we will move in. Now, here's an interesting thing. If I static prison one of my... Oh, no, I can't static prison my own things. That's right. That would be kind of nice, because that is insulation against Ugin's binding. Alright, well... Can't do anything cool, so we will just attack, put opponent to 8 here, and I'm really not progressing as fast as I'd like to here. Unfathomable Truths. Okay. Could have been far worse. We do get to take out all their stuff, or we get to deal some damage to them. I will force them to lose some mana here, and then yeah, we'll be able to attack him pretty well. All right, cool. So that ended up working out for us. We honestly didn't have it, and neither did our opponents, but our terrible game plan was better than their terrible game plan, or our B game was better than their B game. Anyway, good round 3. Let's move into round 4. Okay, round 4. 2 more chances here. Lunar Convocation in the opener here. We have Cauldron, Witch's Oven. This is great. It is on 1 land, which is actually not the best thing in the world, but, you know, it is what it is. They have mulliganed a few times here. That is scary, because we are not a deck that does particularly well against combo. Alright, well, this is going to be Marsh Flats here. We will shock. I think Ocelot Pride is best. We go wide much faster with this. And I assume, based on the high mulligan amount, that they are combo. Dark Writ. Will this be Sorin into something large? Yeah, it'll be. Alright, so we need to top deck a static prison. Ooh, Vein Ripper is pretty bad. Okay, so we can go like this. We can play in a Johnny. But then they just attack him down with Vein Ripper. So that's a problem. We can play Lunar Convocation, but then we haven't gained a life yet. If they attack with a Vein Ripper, playing a Johnny sets up a pretty good counterattack. Or I think we just go Witch's Oven, Cauldron Familiar, and then build our board with Ocelot Pride. That's better. Alright. Sweet. So it's as if we attacked with the Ocelot Pride. That'll do. No attacks. Move to end step. Alright. That is 6 permanents. If we draw land 7, 8. I'm actually going to play Lunar Convocation no matter what next turn, because that helps us more with permanents. 6, 7 at the end step, 8. And then 1 from the Ocelot Pride. If I get 1 land, I'm just going to be short next turn, I think. That's unfortunate. Well, anyway, we are continuing to do Sorin things here. It's a 3-turn clock. Not looking great for us here. And we will get to attack with the Ocelot Pride. That does make things better. Now, this is, I believe, the last land that we need. We'll go Lunar Convocation here. We want to make sure that we pay mana for this. And then the white will come from Godless Shrine. And now we can Jolt it Awake, but there's nothing to Jolt Awake. So let's attack. And yeah, nothing to Jolt Awake here. I could bring back Cauldron Familiar if I really wanted to, but that's fine. Alright, we end turn. Trigger, trigger. Beautiful. We got a lot of permanents now. We can block the Vein Ripper. Thoughtseize, that'll take a Johnny, but we can bring him back with Jolted Awake, so it's not a problem. Then we just Witch's Oven it, and we will have a big Planeswalker, and we'll +2 to get a big board. Totally fine. They're just stuck on 1 mana here. This is going to be completely okay. They'll attack in, sure. Put me to 4. Easiest block of my life. And I'm feeling pretty solid. So, we will move to my turn here after Cauldron Familiaring. Oh, we're going to stop doing that, I believe. That's actually net -1 for me. Whatever, we will bring this back. I actually could have saved that till next turn, but it's fine because we already have ways of gaining life. Caves of Koilos. Jolted Awake, bringing back a Johnny. Take action. I think Witch's Oven will just end up taking the Cauldron Familiar away. This one we have to do. Yep. Take action. We will bring this Cauldron Familiar back first. Drain. We are at 7. We are still not dead yet. We'll put counters on each cat we control. And now our attack is so much better. Alright, we'll unturn. And we make some tokens. Alright, well, if opponent can wipe the board, we absolutely die. Alright, cool. And it looks like that's going to be enough to do it. Opponent's stuck on 1 land, and we pretty much just have an Ocelot Pride that's getting bigger because of a Johnny. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. That was probably one of the better games of the series so far. I really liked how you went very wide with Lunar Convocation and Ocelot Pride. Anything that can turbo the Ocelot Pride Ascend requirement is just a very, very good thing to have happen. And if it does it by making tokens, that's even better. I mean, 5 cats, 3 bats, 2 Ajani cats, that's pretty darn good. 5th and final round coming up next. Stick around, and we'll get there soon. Here we go, 5th and final round. Games have been great so far. Let's try to finish out with one more good one. Also pretty happy about this one. Guide of Souls with Cat Oven is great. Lunar Convocation means that we're going to be able to do what we want to do. Silent Clearing is our life loss for it. I think I couldn't be happier. I guess the fact that this is a Surveil land is a cause for sadness, but it's okay. Guide of Souls, if not dealt with, will be great. Alright, so we have to deal with Grief here. Grief is likely just playing Kahira as a free card here, so this might just be a mono-black Grief scam. What will they take? Probably Guide of Souls or Cauldron or Witch's Oven. I think I'd rather have Witch's Oven on the battlefield. Guide of Souls also pretty decent. I think they're reanimating here, yep, so we're going to lose second Witch's Oven. That's unfortunate. I have to be a little bit smart about the way that we play these cards. Guide of Souls will be the first. I think I need to go Lunar Convocation, then Cauldron Familiar, now that we don't have the Oven. Another Grief to the bin. Alright, and we are in a battle here. I'd like an untapped land or something else that I can play instead of the Cauldron Familiar. An untapped land would be the best. And it will be Grief again. They are really deciding to go Hellbent here in order to make sure that I don't have a hand. Lunar Convocation goes away, so it is just going to be Cauldron Familiar here. Surveil 1, Chthonian Nightmare, beautiful card to have here. I'd even probably play that over the Ajani that I drew this turn. Alright. We are doing well in terms of the race here. Once we can give Guide of Souls flying or Cauldron Familiar flying, I think we're kind of cooking. And what did we want to bring from the graveyard? There's actually nothing right now, so it will be Ajani first. Autopay. And then we surveil here. I kind of like our chances. I think we're going to give Cauldron Familiar the +2/+2. This is Surgical in hand, as we know. Oh, sorry, no, it's Solitude, never mind. Probably takes my Guide of Souls here. Yeah, okay. Oh, that makes me feel a little bit worse about where I am. We will attack. We will play the Shadowy Backstreet. I'm looking for a creature here, not a land. Unfortunate that they exiled that specifically. Nice. I think that we attack with pretty much everything but a Johnny here. See if they'd like to block. Then we just can Legend rule a Johnny even. Let's see if they're going to give me a Johnny. I think they just take the 3 here. And then we'll just play Chthonian Nightmare. Cool. Nothing to get rid of yet. Alright, and we're actually going to win this over Orzhov Scam. Pretty nice. We had some great wins today. We got to actually show off what the deck can do. Those are all pluses in my book. Yeah, so thanks for sticking around today and checking out the deck with me. If you guys want to see it for yourselves, deck list is in the description as always. Thanks for the viewership, and make sure to like and comment the video if you want to help support the algorithm part of the YouTube thing. Subscribe if you're new for videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and I'll see you guys in the next video.